engineer and technical director Mike is with us as well.
Howdy.
On all things wired. And as our guest as well, visiting from another lodge, we have Seth. Seth, why don't you introduce yourself and give us a little background. Where you're from, what do you do?
Well, my name's Seth. I'm a member of Athelstane, Pearl River 839. What do I do? I'm currently a custodian, working at probably the worst school district in the United States.
Okay.
If you know, you know.
It's a long drive to Detroit.
Yeah, that's about me.
Okay. Well, we're called the Freemasons Happy Hour because we're going to talk for maybe about an hour, and I'm happy to open this beer. When you're ready, if you like something, we've got a little bit of everything here in the bar, conveniently located next to your arm and mine.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh, heck, I'll grab a beer. Why not?
Well, sure. There you go.
Thank you much.
Mike, anything for you?
I'm great with my coffee and my water.
Yeah, I'll take one.
Well, all right.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
That's right.
Always fun. Matter of fact, I heard it on the way down here. Alan Jackson and Jimmy Buffett. So we are happy to be here. We are on YouTube. Look for us, the Freemasons Happy Hour. We're on Facebook, the Freemasons Happy Hour. Please like and subscribe when you find us. There's links to the YouTube videos. We've
I believe there's an Instagram as well.
and there's an
same
Instagram
handle.
at the Freemasons Happy Hour. So this is actually our third podcast, and we're happy to be here. And like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. I believe it's on the bottom right-hand corner on the YouTube screen.
And also be the notification that you want to see. Share this with your friends and make sure that other people are able to see the content and encourage them to share it as well. We need to have a more integrated network of sharing with people. So be the notification you want to see.
And I'll drink to that. What affiliations do you have? Like, are you involved with other groups within the Masonic body, the concordant bodies?
Yes, I'm involved with the York Rite, and the bodies in there are the Royal Arch, the Cryptic Council, and the Commandery.
Are these all part of the organizations you take advantage of, or are you just naming them?
These are some of the ones that I'm participating in.
Okay.
I'm also in Scottish Rite.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in Scottish Rite as well. I know Michael is as well. At some point, you can join about enough organizations to keep yourself not from being home 7 nights a week if you wanted
That's
to.
pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, it's gotten to a point, especially with COVID, because we took a break from the organizations. We were doing Zoom meetings, and now it's gotten to a point where I am confused of what I'm doing on a given night.
Yeah, you need a calendar.
Well, I need my own secretary.
Okay, even better.
Luckily, I do have a guy who calls me just about every morning, so that usually works.
Okay. It wasn't my idea of the secretary, but if they work, they work.
Yep.
Hey, by the way, I brought these glasses. I have an outstanding daughter who's about to have a baby in a month or two, actually in 2. And these were some Father's Day gifts. So I gave one to you to use today in case you would like to put a little whiskey in there. And as a gift, we've got our self-branded cigars. So why don't you show everybody how that glass works?
All right. Well, so when you're smoking the cigar, you need to figure out which hand you're using it in, and
Look at
put
that.
the cigar through, and it's
Handy.
a holder.
Handy, and you don't burn the tablecloth.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully you don't get it down really far and
Yeah.
start burning the glass or anything either, but
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate we can't smoke in here, otherwise we'd all have something going on.
I don't know. Maybe I'd end up burning myself somehow with it.
I mean, your beard's kind of looking like one good spark, and
It might go up, yeah.
all the marsupials living in there might be homeless shortly. And then, by the way, I want you guys to notice, in honor of you two, I didn't shave today.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Nice.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Nice.
so I fit right in, right?
Yeah, give it a couple of
Years.
Years.
Nah.
Holiday, with the utility prices rising, you need to stay warm, so it helps to have extra hair on your face. I believe that.
Not only that, with inflation, the cost of shaving cream and razors, forget about it.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, so if I gave this 3 months, it would look like the cat shit on me and dragged me around in the litter box. That's it. So yeah, that's just not going to happen.
Well, that's why you got to wait longer
Yeah.
than just 3 months before you shave it. It's kind of the long hair process when your hair's just about long enough to put into a ponytail, but it's starting to get annoying and you're thinking of cutting it. You got to get over the hump and put it in the ponytail. Let it grow a little bit longer.
Okay, let's see. Just give us a little turn to the left. Can we, oh, there you go. And then when you leave here, you're going back to the set of Lord of the Rings, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Put a battle axe in you. That's how I see you, right? I see you as Gimli or whichever,
Gimli.
right?
I do get that one a lot.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you the actual secret with the beard. I'm Santa Claus. It's true. It's true.
And by the end of November, that white part will spread out.
No, what happens is I actually take this beard and I put it up in a bun underneath and I wear a prosthetic.
I see.
Because if I go to change, if I've colored this beard,
Yeah.
it looks the same when you change.
Okay.
So in order to avoid that, you got to wear the fake beard over top of it.
And you've actually played Santa Claus on numerous occasions?
I've played at Santa Claus a lot.
Oh, good.
Since I started working days as a custodian, I didn't tell anybody. I showed up one day, you know, the day before the winter break with a Santa Claus outfit. Started greeting the kids getting off the bus. I walked down this one hallway in a preschool, and maybe it was a mistake because the kids kind of came out of the doorways like it was a zombie movie. And you know,
Great.
I got them clawing on me and reaching up and giving me hugs, and a couple of them punching me, and you know.
That's really nice.
I mean, it was really fun. So I tend to do that every year, right before the winter break, and even during the lunch periods, I'll go and change and come back as Santa, and then go and change and clean it, and the kids will look at me and say, "Were you Santa Claus?" And I'll tell them, "No, I was working." You know.
How long have you been doing that?
Probably around 13 years or so.
That's really nice.
And yeah, and you know, they tell me though, but you have the same glasses. I'm saying, Santa goes to the same eye doctor as me? Oh my God! You know?
You got to be quick with those little kids.
So
huh?
yeah, it's fun, and you can get some simple things that'll throw them off real fast.
Yeah.
So
I did that for a friend of mine years ago. I was probably 18 or 19, and they wanted to put the kids to bed early. This one family, and they were maybe 3 and 4 or 2 and 3 year old kids, and so I said, well, I have my dad's Santa suit. I can, you know, he used to do that for us as well. He was a great dad, and so I said, I'll dress up. I'll come over. I'll park a house or two away, and then I'll come and knock on the door, finger to my nose, bag of gifts, the whole thing from, night before Christmas. You had to see the other kids in the neighborhood looking out the window when Santa Claus showed up in a white Trans Am. You had like, oh my God, he doesn't drive a sleigh.
You couldn't have put a deer on the front of it?
yep.
I didn't find any to hit on the way over, so thank God for that.
So you're pull one out of the freezer.
I probably could. Actually, I got one sitting at home waiting to be processed. So now you've named several of the groups. Which one do you like the best of your Masonic groups that you associate with?
Honestly, I will have to go with just the regular craft lodge, the Blue Lodge.
Okay.
Just it's closer to home. Mm-hmm. The other groups I've got to drive a little bit further. So honestly, it's kind of a drawback.
Yeah, we are sort of spread out. I agree with that.
Well, it's more of since before I lived where I was, I lived closer, and I had moved a couple times since I joined the organization. So it's kind of my fault that I'm further out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
When did you join Blue Lodge?
2010. So
almost, I think I was 11 or 12, so I'm almost on my 10-year pin.
Yeah.
Coming up, I believe. You're about 5, right?
If you go off of raised date, it's 2019.
19.
Yeah, so I have a little 2 years or so.
Okay, all right.
I think you're closer to 5 than me, right, Mike?
Yeah, are we going off of raised or are we going off of
So,
I think it depends on who you ask.
needless to say, you're generally in between 5.5 and 6 years before you get your first 5-year pin. Mm-hmm. And so, but you could, either way, just, you know what, no one's going to fact check you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
On anything today. How about you, Michael? You've belonged to the Scottish Rite.
Yeah.
You're part of our lodge here, Stony Point.
I'm also a member of Alamania Lodge in Queens. In addition, I'm the secretary for Ordsma. Mm-hmm. I belong to Grotto. Are you a member of Grotto, Seth?
No. I've been asked a bunch of times, but
such a kick out of that.
I don't know, possibility, but I'm like I said, I'm in all those other bodies. Plus, I'm also on the outside. I'm also an elk,
Right.
so I'm also a member of the Sons of the American Legion. So it's kind of
Yeah,
like
you're busy.
I'm kind of busy doing things.
I also started the progression of Royal Arch as
Oh,
well, but
okay.
for me, it's like a side quest almost. If you
Yeah.
look at it from terms of a video game, where I have presumably 30 to 40 years left within Freemasonry
Sure.
to explore and branch out into all these other ones.
Yeah.
My true enjoyment comes from Blue Lodge.
Good.
And focusing here, much like Seth.
And I'll tell you what, with all the potential places to join within the organization known as the Masons, right?
It all starts here.
It all starts here, number one, and number two, you still have to remember about your family, your income. No one ever forces you to join anything, so you can, at will, branch out as you see fit. I mean, there are people who go through their entire lives with only one affiliation, and that's the Blue Lodge.
Sure.
Now, tell me about the grotto. I did get an invitation to it, and I did read a little bit, but I'm curious. What is it? What's your take on the grotto?
Speaking from only attending one meeting,
Okay.
and then not being able to attend some subsequent meetings due to a class being scheduled on that day, it appears like the grotto is really meant for fun, which a lot of people say the Shriners' original initiative was something to be fun. Well, the grotto really seems like a place where you kind of roast your brothers a little bit.
Oh.
So it seems like there's a systematic type of meeting like we would have in the Blue Lodge with a focus on like, hey, look at that guy sitting to the left of the worshipful master in sandals and cut off shorts.
Yeah, okay.
And that's like encouraged in that, and it's a
Oh.
lot of fun and whatnot.
Okay.
And the particular grotto that is close to us in our jurisdiction is the one that FDR belonged to.
Is that over in Westchester or Putnam?
It's New Hyde Park.
Oh,
So
that's north.
With
Yeah.
the return of polio, there's no better time to join the lodge that FDR was a part of. So, grotto's great. It's a lot of fun. Murray belongs to it. So if you wanted to really see a great side of Murray's humor full-fledged in front of you, grotto's the place to do it.
I live next to him. I don't have to drive very far to get that.
That's true. That's true. But it's
I've carpooled with a man, so
yeah, well.
Yeah.
But all these things do cost money.
Yep.
And they take time, and there's the distance and the travel that goes into it. But I think that really speaks value to Freemasonry inherently, where, yes, we can travel all these hours in New York State and do all these things, but if we hopped on a plane and went to the Philippines, we could still find ourselves a lodge where we may not know the language, but we
we'd
know
be
those,
welcome.
Yes, we would be welcome, and we'd be well educated enough to follow along in their meetings.
Yep, I agree.
So for people who don't mind traveling, Freemasonry poses a incredible opportunity to find yourself in foreign lands and be among people that are at least similar to you in some regards.
Right. Now, what do you do for a living, or what are you currently doing, or what's your aspiration for the next 5 years?
Well, currently I'm a administrative assistant at
Okay.
a small consulting firm and a legal assistant at a real estate law firm.
Okay.
For the next 5 years, I would just, like to continue to use my skills of communicating with people and interacting and really providing service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say Michael is actually within this group today, all very active members, always can count on everyone here. And so now here's the question. If you're out traveling, or have you been traveling, and have you found Masonry, and I'll ask both of you the same question, but have you found that Masonry has affected your travel plans in a good or good and positive way? Has someone walked up to you, or have you been in need, or found someone in need, or they've been recognized, that kind of thing?
I actually had a weird experience with Masonry. Not weird in a bad way, but just different. I was vacationing in Williamsburg, Virginia, and we went to Colonial Williamsburg.
Like it
And
there a lot.
Yeah, it was great. A lot of good performances, a lot of actual history. Some of the buildings in the historic area are still privately owned and people live in them also, so you can't go into anything, everything. So the first day I was walking around by myself and I actually found a Masonic lodge.
Oh,
And unfortunately, it's not part of the historical, so it's a private lodge and it was locked. I couldn't go in.
with history or something recent?
Oh no, it's historic. It's there. It's
cool.
actually, apparently it actually burned down at one point and they rebuilt it.
Oh, wow.
So, but it's right in the middle of the colonial Williamsburg area. So I was walking around and I was wearing my hat with the square and compass on it. And someone passed me and said, "Did you see the lodge?" I said, "Yeah, it's around the corner, but I couldn't get in." Actually, no, I'm sorry. This guy told me first where the lodge was around the corner. So then the day later, I was walking with my niece and I decided, let's go into the foundry. She can watch them melt and recreate the same spoon that they're working on all day.
Yeah.
Which honestly is pretty cool if you've never seen anybody do it. It's a great thing to watch.
Like the silversmith or
Yeah.
pewter or whatever they were working
Yeah, it was
with?
pewter.
Yep.
So especially this guy was working these giant bellows on the roof, a big guy, and he looks at me and he says, "Where do you hail from?" And I said, Athelstane Lodge in Pearl River, New York, number 839. And he says to me, "Did you see our lodge?" I said, "Well, I saw it, but, it's locked." And he said, "I got the keys. Hold on a second."
Oh,
So he talks to his coworkers. He says, "Let me just wash my hands." Washes his hands, and he says, "All right, come with me." So next thing I know, I'm following a complete stranger who's dressed in colonial garb through back alleys where the public is not allowed in colonial Williamsburg to this gentleman's car that I get into. And as we're driving around the corner, I'm saying, this is how horror movies start.
and then you wake up with no kidney and a bathtub full of ice. I
Exactly.
saw this movie.
Yes.
It's great. It has a happy ending.
So we pulled around that corner, and there was the lodge. And crazy enough, there were people coming in and out of it. They were setting up for a lodge meeting that night. So there was a great experience doing that. I got a tour of the lodge,
Wonderful.
met the master. They gave me their special lapel pin and so on.
Cool.
Not only that, but you got a brother at work for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Was it really work? I mean, come on. Sounds more like a labor of love than going to work, right?
Yep. Honestly, I don't know if it was actually work or if they were volunteering.
Yeah. How about you? Anything like that? Well, probably not like that, but
Well, yeah, certainly not to that extent. So before I travel, I always try to find lodges in the area that I'm going to be at. But
okay.
I mean, generally lodges don't meet around the holidays, and travel is usually around the holidays. So for me, that hasn't lined up quite yet. But I wear this hat often a lot, and I have had interactions with people that I don't think I would have otherwise had I not been wearing the hat.
Okay.
Not because I personally wouldn't have stopped them or approached them, but because people stopped me to speak to me.
Right.
And I mean, I was in a mall in Connecticut and had a brother stop me.
oh wow, good.
Just because I was wearing the hat. So it's I've met a lot of local elected officials who are connected to the craft and whatnot. I've been at a number of networking events and worn square and compass pins and what have you. And so there certainly have been small interactions, but your story is just that must have been quite a experience for you.
It was pretty different.
What was the meeting like? Was it good?
Oh, I didn't actually get to attend the meeting. I was actually getting installed as the master the next night, and I needed to drive back, and I stopped in Maryland on the way back and then continued driving the next morning. Had about 10 minutes to get home, take a shower, put on a tuxedo, and get to the lodge so I could be installed. So unfortunately, I missed their meeting.
Right.
But the master actually did give me his card, told me if you're ever back in town, give me a call. You'll have dinner with me and the missus. That
really-
kind of thing.
that's really
so,
great.
yeah, it was really nice.
I've never had anybody. I don't have the hat, so now I guess I have to get the hat.
Oh, absolutely.
We both need hats. I think we both need hats. Yeah, and I've never had anybody pick out the lapel pins that I wear, and I wear them on my trade shows. I wear them to work. I'm in and out of medical offices and hospitals all the time, and never had anybody do that. But I've told this before, but I had two senior gentlemen who were just coming out of the same diner I was walk across a parking lot when they saw me by my truck and say, hey, we saw your bumper sticker when we came in. We just wanted to say hi. You know, we're members of this lodge down here in Princeton. And I thought it was really nice. You know, they could have just went on their merry way, but they went out of their way to come over and just, you know, kind of like give me a nice little salutation. That was kind of cool. And so I guess with the hat, everybody sees this hat? Nice little talk about brand recognition, Yingling beer, or Masonic mugs. I have, last month when we had our previous podcast, Rick's Club American had given us sponsorship. They bought us meals. And happily, we got the damn best cheeseburger and beer I've ever had in quite a long time. And we know the owner personally. But I also want to give a little shout out to Rick's Club American in Congers, because this coming Wednesday, my very good friend and our engineer plays for Sheridan Routine.
Hey.
Excellent Irish band.
Cool,
and they'll be there on Wednesday.
Cool.
Thank you, Tom.
Like and support them, my friends. Sheridan Routine. I'm not a very good scholar when it comes to Gaelic, so why don't you spell Sheridan Routine for everybody so they can look you up on Facebook?
Sheridan, Sheridan, Routine, Ruitin.
Find him, like him, and then
Share it with your friends.
share with your friends, and then support the local establishments where they're playing. I will say it's worth an evening out. And hopefully that little plug gets me in without a cover charge.
Remember to support your local establishments and not the establishment.
Yeah. And so I'm just kidding about the cover charge. And also, I will like to say, and I didn't do this last time, and shame on me, but if you guys can see this or not, a heartfelt thanks to all of our friends and families and lodge members in the military, foreign and abroad, and here in the country. Thank you for your service.
That, could I just take a moment to speak about the battle within?
Sure.
So one of the many things that Freemasonry tries to do and work with is the battle within. And it is I guess it's an initiative, and the issue that this initiative is looking to correct is that 22 veterans and 1 active duty soldier commit suicide each day.
Every day.
And our district was very fortunate because we had a guy walk from, I believe it was Mississippi, up to West Point for one of his friends who had fallen victim to that statistic. So, you know, if you have a person that you know who's a veteran, holidays are coming up.
Yep.
Just give them a call and reach out and make sure that they're okay, because sometimes a simple phone call will keep people from doing unspeakable things.
Our lodge gathers items, personal, cleaning items, things like that, shaving kits and what have you. And generally, we take them up to the veterans' home. I think it's in Montrose Buchanan. Does that sound familiar? And I know there's a hospital up there as well. I've been up there before for work, and so I'm always happy to donate to that, and proud of my the military history of my family as well. So shout out to my buddy Tony, who's still in the Army Reserves, Army National Guard, and
Let's go, Tony.
let's go Tony. Absolutely. Maybe one day we'll get him in here as a Mason, as a brother.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and right now he's got some work restrictions and some family restrictions, and so when he has free time to dedicate, he told me he'll be here.
I think I spoke to your friend Tony on the phone one night.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, cool guy.
Yeah.
Cool guy.
Yeah. And Mike, you know Tony a little bit.
Yeah.
So our resident engineer is also a fantastic, would you call yourself an aficionado? No, not an aficionado. What is it when you can play pretty much any instrument you look at and you pick it up and tomorrow you're...
Mozart?
Well, there's Mozart, yeah, that guy.
Maybe Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, for sure.
Yeah, Tony's my piano student. I teach him lessons every other week, and he's great. He's doing great so far. Really proud of him.
He speaks highly of you as well. And so otherwise I would have steered him, away from you if I thought he was a sham, so. But he's doing well. So yeah, I like the fact that guy took the time down in Williamsburg. I mean, they're just wonderful people working there, whether it's volunteering or whether they're paid, I don't know. I went down my first time was in probably middle school. And the band kind of took a rest and they were just sort of dinking around on the side, the marching band, fife and drum. And I said, hey, I played drum in the middle school band. And he gave me the sticks and let me beat on it for a while. And we all kind of whacked out a little tune here and there. And it was really fun. I never forgot it. Went back as an adult twice and really enjoyed it. That and Jamestown.
Well, apparently, what this gentleman was telling me down there, the brother was telling me, is a lot of members of that lodge work in the Colonial Williamsburg area, like in the museum aspect area of it.
In the full regalia, right?
Yep.
And actually, what did you do? You were working at the Stony Point Battlefield for a while, which is our own little version, so to speak, of Williamsburg, if you will.
So I was a historical interpreter at the Stony Point Battlefield during the season last year. And essentially I would interpret how a continental soldier would have been living their life during the Revolution. And I educated the guests of the battlefield about various aspects, items that they would have had during colonial times. And,
Kind of in a tour guide capacity?
yeah, almost. Only I was more stationary, explaining various things within a camp.
Very nice.
The Battle of Stony Point is actually what our lodge is named after. Well, the first half, at the very least.
And
We have another who does reenacting in our
Yes,
lodge.
that's right. We have brother Ben Franklin.
Yes, we do.
He's actually got the hair and the glasses and the outfit, and he's done a really bang-up job for as long as we've known him as a Ben Franklin
He even has a
impersonator.
Mrs. Franklin.
And has a Mrs. Franklin. Good for him.
We have clowns, Ben Franklins,
Yeah.
doctors, future politicians. We even have with us today in our midst a brother who started the pandemic. Would you maybe like to share that story with us about how you...
Yes, I did.
Is that true?
I swear, it's all a true story. So right before the pandemic, I was in England in February of 2020.
Okay.
And I had gone over to see some relatives. And I went with them to go to France for my birthday, just for the day. I mean, because why not go to France for the day?
It's close.
So we were doing that, and we left from Dover to go and take the ferry. And I said, I really want to stop and get some of the white chalk from the hills. There's a ceremony in Freemasonry, the EA degree, that has to do with chalk. And I said, wouldn't that be awesome if we could use some of that in the lodge for a degree? And if nobody else knew where it came from, at least I would.
Yeah.
So we didn't have time to stop, and the sister-in-law who I was visiting with my nephew, she says, "Well, I live one town over. We'll just go down to the beach tomorrow and get some from down there." I said, "Oh, all right. It's the same hillside." So we went down to the beach, and I'm walking along with my nephew, and he's throwing rocks in the water. Not skipping them, throwing them. And she's looking for glass and shells, and I pick up some of the chalk, and we're walking along, and I said, "Wow, that's a weird-looking rock." I kept walking, and about 25 feet later, I said, no, I got to go pick that thing up. So this rock right here,
Oh, look at that.
I picked up out of the surf. As you can see, it's got a hole in it. And that was like that when I found it.
Oh, you didn't drill it. Okay.
Oh, no.
I wondered.
This was right out of the water, just like that. And I remember seeing something somewhere about rocks with holes in them. But no reception on the phone, so I couldn't exactly Google. So we got back to the real world, and I Googled it. Apparently, it's called a hagstone. And the ancient Druids said these things had magic properties, and they're considered sacred items. So there I am the next day, coming back to America, and took the weekend to kind of recover from jet lag and all. And then I went back to work as a custodian. And I'm cleaning the cafeteria, and it's now Thursday or so. And I'm tired. I'm jet lagged still. It's been rough cleaning. The kids have been making a mess, that kind of thing.
Damn it.
You know.
They're fun to make, but hey, look at the mess afterwards.
Exactly. But so I'm standing there in the cafeteria and I just finished cleaning it and the kids just came in to get dismissed on their buses and I'm picking up my Magic Rock saying, I know I was just on vacation and it was fantastic vacation in England, but I could use some time off, and I kissed the Magic Rock. I got home, and then later that night, we got the phone call that the school was going to be closed because of a pandemic. And maybe it's a coincidence, but I didn't really think so. The Druids said these things had magic properties. And they're a sacred item. I've seen movies where you remove the sacred item, nothing good happens.
So what you're saying is I'm sitting next to a cursed time bomb.
Well,
Great.
It's kind of even weirder than that.
Was this 2020?
This was 2020. So it goes through the year. Everybody's freaking out about the pandemic. Schools are closed. I'm in there working with crews, cleaning the place and sterilizing things. September rolls around. Now, my family has timeshares in Cape Cod, and my father would usually go around September, around the end of September. And he wasn't going because there was the pandemic. He offered it to my sister and her kids, and she was going to go, but then she said, I want to stay home, COVID, I don't want to take the kids. So I was buying him groceries and I'm bringing him into the house and he's on the phone trying to rent out the timeshare. And nobody wants it. And I said, Dad, I'll go.
Yeah.
And he says, well, everything's closed. I said, the beach isn't closed.
Right.
I'm going nuts like everybody else. I got to get out of here. So I went. And as I was going, a friend of mine said, you know what? If you find another one of those rocks, everything should be set right. Guess what happened? I found another rock.
Wow. So you're telling me the Druids were in Cape Cod?
Possibly. But I came back with this other rock, and I came back on a Sunday, was getting ready to go to work on Monday, and nope, got a phone call. My school was quarantined for 2 weeks. I was staying home.
Wow.
So I think the moral of the story is Seth just needs to stop looking for rocks.
And you didn't even get to work on your tan. You look like hell.
Oh, it doesn't get tan. I get the fire engine red.
Yeah,
What was
I
that?
know.
The Irish tan.
I'm predominantly Caucasian too. It's okay. Don't feel bad. I had, I like to look for rocks too. It sounds kind of cheesy, right?
Yeah.
But you look around and you say, hey, that's kind of cool.
Yep.
So my girlfriend and I will pick them up here and there, or a nice shell. And she started actually writing, because she'll write on it where it was or where it came from, or just even a date so we know where we were at the time. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be a big thing or a small rock. But then, because you realize after a while, you go, what the hell am I doing with all these rocks, and what do they even mean, and where do they come from? But once in a while, you find the one.
Yep.
And then you kind of screw the world, don't you?
Actually, as far as picking up rocks in general, too, I have had some odd rocks that I found here or there. And like you were saying, you start to wonder where they came from. Mm-hmm. What I realized when I first started doing it is I said, I got to put this in a jar or else I'm going to forget where it came from and what it is.
Yep.
So I did write little labels and stick it in the jars with them.
Yeah.
So, and now I got a shelf full of rocks, and at least people can look at it themselves and understand what it's there for because it's labeled.
What worries me the most, and you'll probably at some point explode, but remember the Brady movie where they took the little thing
That's
from
what I'm
Hawaii?
saying. I removed the sacred item from the place I found it.
Yeah, yeah. So I was in Hawaii several times, and I walked the lava fields, and I've seen those lava flows, and unfortunately, a poor friend of mine, his whole property got just paved over with lava, and the whole town's gone. So, whole development, everything. He said, "You remember how far the water was from the house?" I says, "Yeah, 100 yards, 200 yards." He goes, "Yeah, how about now? It's 1.5 miles." So yeah, I don't pick up anything in Hawaii and bring it home. I might look at it and then I'll just leave it there.
Well, I know I have been to Hawaii. I was a lot younger, and I know I didn't bring home any rocks.
Okay.
So we should be good. At least for now. I don't know.
Yeah, why not? So, Well, this glass is maybe kind of calling me a little bit. I don't.
It looks like it's a bit dry.
It is a bit dry. I happen to have some ice cubes.
Wow.
I know.
Came prepared.
I know. Could I offer for you?
I would love some ice cubes.
All right.
Are we talking about Ice Cube when he was a rapper or when he was a family star?
How about? What's
I
the
liked it
difference?
when he was in the heavy metal band.
Oh, yes.
Oh no, that was Ice-T. Sorry.
No, Ice Cube did a song with Korn.
He did. Yes.
He did.
You need ice, Michael?
No, I'm all right. Thank you,
How
Tom.
about you, Mike? You're good.
Gonna rearrange the beverages here.
Yeah.
That's right.
And let's see. What's our choices today, buddy? What are we putting here? How about since you were in the UK, bringing home Magic Rocks? How about we pour a little Irish?
Sounds good.
All right. And
I was talking about my Irish tan, so it works with that.
I think little Irishes are called leprechauns.
well, you got me.
I've been called that too.
little Tullamore Dew.
Yeah, doing the do.
Yeah.
Doing the
And me personally, my stomach says, hey,
Hey, could I get a sniff of that at the very least?
you absolutely can. You want to take the bottle?
No, I don't want to. I'll just sniff it out of the bottle. I'm just sniff it out of your glass.
But I'm gonna, hopefully,
It's a snifter.
without too much ridicule from my peers, I'm gonna have to water mine down just a wee bit. I know. Too bad. Got to go with what you got.
I got a friend of mine who does that.
Thank you, Tom.
And the bartender will come to refill his glass and start to dump out the ice.
Oh no.
And he says, no, what are you doing? There's still alcohol on the ice.
Yeah.
Just pour it on top.
Well, or my beer glass, my pint glass. Please don't put my now experienced beer glass in the damn soapy water. Mm-hmm. I do fine every morning after my cup of coffee. I don't need your help. So you can drop that down if you want to make some space for yourself. We'll put it back in here and keep it chilled. There you go. And since it's right next to you, you're welcome to help yourself.
All right.
Well, anyway, cheers.
Cheers.
And here's to you. And here's to you.
Amir to you.
Sláinte.
Cilantro, that's right. Yeah, we went through that last time, didn't we?
I'm not into cilantro.
I like Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
That's life, though.
Oh my gosh. What do you see, Seth? What do you see Freemasonry becoming in the next, say 5 years for yourself, maybe as an organization? Like, for example, how your lodge. So I've not been to an active meeting in your lodge, maybe more than once or twice. Mm-hmm. And so how do you guys see yourself in terms of membership? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing?
We seem to be having a good increase.
Okay.
We have a bunch of members who have joined in the past couple of years, including during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And we seem to have retained them. They're having fun. And we're growing. We've been able to, and we hadn't been able to for a couple of years, perform entire degrees without any outside help.
Yeah, and by degrees, for those that may be listening, who knows where in the world this podcast will end up, but by degrees, Seth is referring to a ceremony, kind of let's call it a moving up ceremony from one stage of your Masonic journey to the next. Agreed? Mm-hmm. And so we have 3 degrees: entered apprentice, little help. What's the next one?
Fellow craft.
Fellow
Fellow
craft.
craft.
And what's the last one?
Master Mason.
Master Mason. And so Master Mason, 3rd degree Master Mason, being technically the highest attainable degree in Masonry. And then in the other concordant bodies, which we spoke of earlier, York Rite and Scottish Rite, then you have additional degrees, which kind of actually, in my experience, improve your Masonic education.
Well, the way I've always explained it to people is the degrees in Masonry, it's kind of like growing up. Mm-hmm. When you're the entered apprentice, you're a child, you're a fellow craft, you're an adolescent, and then when you're a Master Mason, you're an adult. And let's face it, when you're an adult, you don't grow up anymore. You kind of grow out.
Well, what about
and that goes out to all those other degrees in the other groups. Is it spreads.
See, yeah, what I'm worried about is what happens when you're an adult acting like the adolescent, and that's the way it's been for me all this time. So
I've always tried to act like an adolescent.
Right.
In fact, it's not acting.
yeah. is achieving and attaining.
Yes.
In our lodge, so, we've had some tribulations, if you will. We've not lost, our membership has kind of gone up and down, but for good reasons. No, not always good reasons. One or two folks moved away for work, so travel becomes an issue. They've retained their membership within the lodge, but they visit other lodges instead, which are closer. Sometimes, we call it a cable tow, where you have to, your life outside of the lodge dictates what you need to do. If you have to pay your bills, you have to take care of your family. So sometimes travel to an activity like this isn't always prudent. And then we've had one or two members that have had some family issues with COVID, with some other ailments. And so, again, they remain members. We haven't lost them. We just don't see them as often. And let's face it, every lodge has its aging group as well. And it gets harder and harder to come out. And now we have winter knocking on our door. And last thing I want to see is anybody for that matter, regardless of age, fall and get hurt because of an icy pavement.
If I'm not mistaken, the average age of membership in our district is 65.
65? So you're on the younger side within our group.
Yeah, that's putting it
And I'm
lightly.
and I'm closer to the average now, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess I made it this far.
It's I have met two brothers who are younger than me,
Oh, okay.
but it's a rare one.
What lodge are they in?
One was in Delaware Lodge the other night, and the other I can't remember the
Okay.
particular lodge.
Okay.
I believe Mike on the mic over there comes in at second in our lodge.
Mike
Yep.
Master Mike?
I was number one until you came along.
Yeah.
You're 33, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also what's really kind of cool, we have a Filipino gentleman who can't wait for his third degree to come. So because he's so proud of being a Mason, just like his family back in the Philippines, he can't wait to go home and tell everybody he's, gotten his third degree taken care of. So we're working on that
That
this
is
year.
pretty cool.
It's a little more than that. He also wants to attend lodge in the Philippines, and here you can attend lodge in a meeting if you're not a third degree, but you're at least initiated. In the Philippines, you can't.
Oh.
So for him, he's waiting so he can be with his family, that I guess cousins or whatnot that are still alive in the lodge.
Wow. That's cool. It's interesting. Usually in my travels, they're always during the day. And depending on what I'm doing, whether it's visiting accounts or things like that, I'll pass a dozen different places through the course of a month or 2 months and see this one here and that one there. My timing's generally off, and I've not attended any meetings outside of it. But I did have a great opportunity to, during one of the trade show weeks, I was in Philadelphia. And maybe it's lunch or maybe it was the start of the show, so there wasn't much going on. But I got to stop in to the Grand Lodge in Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. And again, timing being what it was, I realized looking at their schedule that I just missed any kind of tour. But I walked in anyway. And, the security guard said, sorry, we're closing our tour, whatever. I said, oh, that's a shame. I wanted to let my lodge know when I go back on Wednesday that I got to see Philadelphia. Oh, you're a Mason? Come on in, and I didn't get the full-blown tour, of course, but I did get a very nice, warm greeting and welcome here. And then they took me into the bookstore, and I guess the gentleman in the bookstore is maybe kind of one of the caretakers there. And he said, I've got a pin for you. And actually, if you remember, I don't remember if it was you or not, but I brought an extra pin back for then Bob, who was the worshipful master. And I think I had you or somebody deliver it up to Bob as a gift from Philadelphia.
That was me.
That was you? Okay.
I remember that.
Insert mic here, I know.
One of the two.
Yeah. And so, you know what? The camaraderie, the brotherhood, very nice. I mean, I really appreciate it. And then it's also evident and it's a holiday time, you'll see them more and more, but the whole premise of the Shriners Hospitals. And the Shriners Hospitals all being charity. It's only been fairly recent in its grand scheme of time that you can even use insurance to help pay for those bills. Otherwise, they don't take a nickel. One of my neighbors, Stanley Bob up the street's in charge of the transportation fund. And what do you have to do to become a Shriner?
Be a Mason.
You have to be
You
a
have
Mason.
to be a Mason, a third degree Mason. And so, you know what? Overall, it's just a really good group, honestly. Good human beings making
Well-
better men better, right? Or good men better.
Right, and I think a lot of the charitable things we do is a byproduct of making good men better, right? Like the Shriners having 24 Children's Hospital is a result of good, well-rounded, successful individuals getting together and creating something really good out of it. I mean, they started the Shrine to have fun, and then I guess they got bored with having fun, and they said, F it, we'll make 24 children's hospitals. I mean, I think that speaks volumes to the type of people that join our organization. We don't just sit around and say, oh, we want to do this, we want to do this. We really walk the walk after talking the talk,
Yeah.
and it's
Well, it was either that or else they had to explain something to their wives.
yeah, right, no, for sure.
Like, listen, honey, it's actually for charity.
Yeah. So that is a future goal of mine, to join the Shriners. I've kind of curtailed some of my activities right now as the master of this lodge. It does take a little bit of time, but I'm not traveling as much as I did for my previous job. So I have a new job this year. I sell medical equipment, and I'm not on the road and overnights so much, so I have more time to commit to the lodge. And once I've kind of got a better handle on my sales territory, on my customers, my product line, I think my next, as fun as the grotto sounds, I think my next venture in masonry will be for the Shriners.
Are you going to do Mecca or are you going to do Cyprus?
Well, what's our local group here? It's Mecca.
Well,
I
mean,
think.
I think Cyprus has some of our, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
there might be a couple, but
I'll look-
Mecca's the place to go because it's the first one.
I'll look in- yeah.
Shout out to the two past potentates of Mecca Lodge, Murray and Tom.
And do you know the history of the shrine?
A general history, yes.
Why don't you give us a general history since, what is Mecca? What is Cyprus? What is...
So, and I'm sure when we get to the #1 podcast spot at some point, somebody is going to correct me.
Now
And
that's
if you-
okay.
If you'd like to come and explain it further, please come on the show and do so.
Yeah.
And comment on Facebook.
So
Yeah.
we have a good time here in the Blue Lodge because we're living in a really good time. And, Freemasonry is not there was a time where you'd go to the lodge and you were dependent almost on the meal there, right? Like it was a huge perk was that you were getting a meal. We are so past that in our standard of living here that we can now have a great time in the Blue Lodge, whereas back in the day it wasn't so fun. It was very business-like, and again, from my knowledge and whatnot. The Shrine was a outlet to incorporate some of the things that we now do fun in the Blue Lodge
Okay.
with Masons. And there was it was predominantly founded by lawyers and doctors in the city.
Started in New York City, that much I know.
One of them was in one of the countries in the Middle East and had been rubbing shoulders with some of the prominent
Sultan,
people
yeah.
there, and they invited him to see a play.
Okay.
And the play was an Arabic night-themed play with fezzes and all these different things that, really stood out to this guy who was a brother, and the Shrine was, just taking off the ground.
Okay.
He gets back, and he says to the rest of the group, look, this is we need to make some type of ceremonial degree around this play that I saw, and that's kind of where the fezzes were birthed out of.
And what year are we talking, by the way? Give or take. 20s, 40s, 14, early teens?
It'd be easier to pull it up on the phone.
I wish we had someone who could fact
think
check
it was
for
the
us while
late.
we're sitting
I don't
here.
think it was the late.
We're waiting on
1800s.
Wi-Fi.
If I
Once we get a Wi-Fi password in this building,
if I
it
had
would be good.
if I had to guess, I would say it was 1910 to
Okay.
1915.
Okay.
I think it was pre-1920.
The teens resonate with me as well, somewhere in there, but
But initially, they didn't have the hospitals. That was a later thing.
of course.
And Mecca took off. The idea of having this separate lodge for fun and entertainment took off, and you started seeing all these different Shriner lodges pop up like Cyprus, and they kind of spread like wildfire across the
Okay.
country. And
And Mecca, by the way, Mecca being the first place where they went and visited and saw this play, I'm assuming?
Mecca Lodge #1 was the first ever Shriners
No,
Lodge.
but where do they take the name Mecca from? Because obviously they went to Saudi Arabia or Arabia.
I believe they named it after, I guess, theology's definition of what Mecca is.
Okay.
I couldn't speak to anything more
well,
than that.
that's good enough.
But at some point after there were a number of Shriner, I think they might even be temples. They might not even call them lodges. They might
think
call them
they are
Shriner
temples,
temples. A number of Shriner temples had existed, and they networked with each other and said, okay, like we're having fun, but we're still all Masons, and inherently we still want to do good things. So what are we going to do? And I believe, like when they got this network, it was like there was fragments. Like a couple of them were doing something with like pediatric stuff, and another one was doing something with eyes, and another with the ears. And as that took off and started gaining momentum, they said, okay, we need to do children's hospitals.
Okay.
And that's how the Shriners Children's Hospitals were burned. And it's hard pressed to find someone who doesn't know the Shriners after saying, the guys with the red hats who have the commercials.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know that St. Jude's Hospital got its startup money to start from the Shriners.
Okay.
They were the initial investors behind St. Jude's, so to speak.
Well, Danny Thomas, I did look this up because I was curious. Danny Thomas, while not affiliating St. Jude's specifically with Shrine or the Masons, was himself a Mason as well.
So the one thing that, I will say about all this is whatever Masonic organization you join, there's a component of giving back, doing something better. And, I think that as long as people continue to join who want to continue to give back, we will always have a lively and successful organization.
Agreed.
But the Shriners can't exist without Blue Lodge.
Yep.
If Blue Lodge gets to the point where membership is not turning around, the other bodies are going to see the consequences sooner rather than later. And, at one point, you didn't just have to be a Master Mason to join the Shrine. You had to go through the entire Scottish or York Rite.
Oh, okay.
And then you could join the Shrine. So, that's, been gone for at least 15 years.
That requirement, you mean?
Yeah. So they're already feeling the effects of it if they've already asking that requirement.
You mean in terms of a positive effect?
Correct.
Good.
Well, no. They did away with that requirement because
So
they
they
weren't
can get
getting enough
more
people in.
members in.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. But you have people who join the Blue Lodge, and they have one free night a week. The wife has given them one free night a week, and they come in, and they study really hard, and they pick all their free time into studying because they want to be a Mason, and they're built up to this third degree, and they take the third degree, and then they get hawked by people who are like, hey, join this. Give us another night, like join this. And then I think a lot of people are like, whoa, I only signed up for one night a week here.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm feeling good about being a Mason. I want to get involved, and I have all these people asking me to join things. So as good as this expansion of our education is, the Blue Lodge has got to be fortified with solid members before we start getting concordant bodies like, hey, come join us. Hey, come join us. Hey, come join us.
One of the things that I do when I'm talking to people about Masonry and they're telling me they're interested in joining is one of the questions they're always asked is, when are the meetings?
Right.
How much time is this going to take up and all? And I tell them, standard is twice a month, right? And they always say, oh, well, I can do that. And I say, well, hold on a second. We do other things on other nights of the week,
Sure.
too. But this is when the meetings are.
Of course.
Because a lot of people, like you said, they get that one night out of the week where they can go and do this. But there's other nights that other things need to be done on also. And I explain this to them right off the bat so that they don't suddenly sit there and say, I'm getting hounded by all these other things.
Put the headphones on first and then the fuzz.
Will the fez fit over top of it?
It possibly will. I think he's foreshadowing something right here. You're wearing a potentate.
I can't remember your name, but your fez rings a bell. Yeah.
You're wearing a potentate fez.
Anyway,
We got
Is
the
it-
next
is
leader
it the
of
large, the
I
large
just
French fry?
wanted to, since we
large
talked about
French
fez,
The potentate.
we have one on display, and I just wanted to show that off because, you know what?
future potentate of Mecca Lodge over
Well,
here.
Yeah.
There's a whole parade.
It is fancy, I'll tell you.
You think about it,
That was probably worn by Murray or Tom.
probably was. The Shriners actually have a section in one of the parades. I don't know if it's St. Patrick's or Macy's Day Parade, or maybe it's a Shriners Day Parade. I don't know, but you know what? It's a big organization.
Hey, speaking of the shrine, do you guys know anybody who actually has one of the little cars they used to drive in those parades?
No,
Did you ever see pictures of those?
no, but
The
I'd
old-
like to have one.
It was usually small town parades that they would be in, and they'd have little miniature cars that they would be sitting in and driving around. And they
Wow.
were actually gas powered little cars
Wow.
too.
Okay. Little clown cars.
So yeah, and well, not even clown cars, just tiny cars, looking like the ones that you would buy for toddlers nowadays.
Gotcha.
I've seen them.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I've been in the Shriners Hospital in Boston. There's a burn unit up there. I was selling products at one point that they may have been able to use. Philadelphia has a very well-known orthopedic hospital, and so several years ago, there was a group of us went from Rockland County down to the Grand Lodge in New York City because there was an event called Broadway Loves the Shriners. And turns out the lady, I'm not much of a Broadway guy, except for maybe Beatlemania, which was not really Broadway. But
Little Frankenstein was fire
Yeah?
on Broadway. Oh, yeah.
well, this woman had has a daughter who had been plagued with scoliosis. And turns out she was able to be cured in the Shriners Hospitals in Philadelphia. So what does this woman do? Just as we're talking about now, to give back, she called all her friends up, Kinky Boots and this one and that one and several different performing plays that were on at that period, and they all did one or two songs from each of their shows as a donation to raise funds for the hospital. You know what? I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah.
That was also my first time going and visiting the New York the Grand Lodge in New York, down on 24th, 23rd, and 4th Street. And I always like to point out, which is kind of cool, the Grand Ballroom, if you will, or the Grand Lodge room itself is so ornate and so well done that it's actually was used as the Grand Ballroom on the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. What's that, where the ship sunk
the
with the
Titanic.
Titanic.
Yep.
They
Yep.
filmed Titanic in there. And one of the Masons, who's always in a kilt, not a very tall guy from what I remember, but you know, you had all these different Broadway performers, and then he gets up and he's going to sing. And the first thing he does, pushes the
Go.
pushes the mic away. He has
Did he do it as well? Or
he didn't catch the water, but I did. He has such a set of pipes that he doesn't need a microphone.
Wow.
And the acoustics in that place are listed as basically second to none in the entire city. And anyway, it's worth the trip. And if anybody's listening, or if you folks have never been there, you guys, it's worth the trip down just to see what it looks like.
I've been there a couple times. It is quite amazing.
Right? You
on
agree
the
with me?
inside,
And
yeah.
I know, Michael, you've been there last year.
Beautiful. I was there for Grand Lodge session this
Yep.
year.
Oh, this
And
year, right.
On the subject of buildings in Manhattan with Masonic origins, Hammerstein Ballroom
Oh.
was owned by the Scottish Rite.
Oh, no kidding.
And the ballroom that is now a performance center for countless acts and whatnot was the Scottish Rite Ballroom. And
Wow.
it still has, there's a double-headed eagle
Yeah.
on the ceiling of the Hammerstein Ballroom, and it's incredible.
I'd like to take an actual educated guided tour of, like, say, DC or Boston, and have the points of Masonic, leadership that were saying, they were doing the planning of the city. I'd love to hear all about that. I'm sure you can do the research, but I'd like to take like a walking tour and see those things. The last time I was in
If you go
DC.
that also, you got to go over to, is it Virginia? And see the George Washington Memorial.
Okay.
And the House of the Temple.
Yeah.
That and the Scottish Rite.
Yeah.
House of the Temple. Oh, that's
you-
on my list.
Have you? Oh, you haven't been there yet?
No, not yet, not yet.
So I had a brief couple hours in DC. You can't really do much anywhere in a city for a couple of hours. You know, people say, "Oh, I'm going to the city. What should I see?" A million things. You know, you just never have enough time. And so it was a stop by on the way down to the beach in North Carolina. But we did go to the Washington Monument. And what's the first thing I asked? Where's the Masonic cornerstone? And the state park tour guide says, or the state parkie that was there, not a tour guide, but he goes, yeah, nobody really knows where that is. It's been built over and around, and so you probably would never find it anyway. And I thought, either he's right or he's wrong. And I'm guessing he's probably ignorant. And they just don't know what to say. But they probably get a lot of people asking the same question because he popped his answer out just like that. Oh, we don't have one.
Isn't it in a certain corner of the building?
It's supposed to be.
It should be in the northeast corner.
I would guess.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've noticed that at the building that I meet at, that's not where the cornerstone is.
Well, maybe it wasn't a Masonic building.
No, it was built to be a Masonic temple. They put the cornerstone
Was
in
it?
the wrong place.
So the Grand Master back in 1953 attended the recommissioning of the Waiwayanda Lodge.
Okay.
And when it was still in Piermont. So that building that's on that photo over there had some, I guess, renovation work to it done 25 years later, and the Grand Master at the time attended.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you were talking about, someone mentioned before about a building that didn't quite make it. Was it somebody mentioned about a building blew up or burned down or whatever? Or it could be a flashback I'm having from the week.
Oh, you were
I was
talking about
saying
part of the lodge in
The lodge in
Williamsburg.
Williamsburg, they were saying it burnt down.
That's it, Williamsburg, thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
it wasn't a flashback, good. Our lodge, I think, was it a train or a truck? The original one, or the second one in Piermont. Something either blew off the road or blew off the track and took the whole building out.
Wow.
So I think that building in that picture, it's muerte.
Well,
It's-
we have another old haunted Masonic building in Rockland County.
Yeah?
The old Masonic home in Tapan, across from the park. So
Oh, okay.
that was essentially a hospice home,
Oh, yes, yeah, I know.
and it was for sick Masons, widows, and orphans.
Huh.
And a brother who was there, who was terminal, fell in love with a widow of another brother, and they went down to the city and eloped. And when they got back, word kind of got out about that.
That Stella got her groove back, yeah?
So
Okay.
they wound up killing themselves.
Yeah.
And that was like right near the end of that. And then it was dorms for Dominican College. And now it sits
Wow.
in its current condition.
I know it's made it onto Ghost Chasers.
Yeah,
one
no,
of those
it-
shows, yeah?
There's a lot of reports that it's got some activity within it, so cannot speak from personal experience.
I have haunted balls
Haunted balls.
at home.
Are they like a magic rock or
You know why witches don't have babies, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you?
what?
Because their husbands have Halloweenies?
Oh,
I have a pair of haunted racket balls at home.
Oh.
Yeah. What'd you think I meant? Come on.
hey,
Hey.
that's why I was asking.
I thought you were giving weird compliments to your kids.
No. My dad haunts my house in a nice way, and has for quite a while.
Oh.
And look, you can be a naysayer. You don't have to believe. You can believe. You can believe in something. You can believe in nothing. But my dad is around, and one day I was looking for something, and there was some circumstances. Long story short, I had a girlfriend with one of those very big blow-up yoga balls, and you bend over and you do stuff on those big blow-up beach
Happy
balls.
you're saying it wasn't a blow-up girlfriend.
Yeah, well,
Giant Pilates balls.
it's pricey. Yeah. Thank you. I've heard that before. And so, as I'm walking from the back door past this giant yoga ball, the racquetball just rolls out in front of me. Now, we were all sitting in the living room earlier, maybe my daughter and whoever was there, and this racquetball just rolls out. And I thought, I have an old house. Maybe when I stepped on a floorboard, it shifted or something. I don't know. At first, you're skeptic. Everybody's always skeptic of whatever's right in front of your face, regardless of whether you saw it or not. And it rolled around, went around the couch and into the middle of my living room. Huh. And then it stopped and changed directions. 2, 3 times. And I said, if that thing bounces, I'm out of here. And so, but we've done it on numerous occasions. And then I put the second one down because there's 2 in a can. And they have crisscrossed my living room on several occasions. And it is the freakiest damn thing. And then most of the time I do that, I show that to some people and they go, I'm leaving. I never want to see that again.
Did they move the headstones and not the bodies? I saw that movie a while ago.
I saw that movie. I almost moved to that town in California.
Did you find a rock with a hole in it?
No. But
Don't look for them.
But seriously, and so and my dad tickles the back of my neck once in a while. Of all things, of course, being alcohol related in my life, I was looking for a shaker cup. I had some outdoor cats when my parents moved away. I said, "Oh, I'll take care of the cats. I'll make sure I feed and water them." And I had, at some point, I must have put water in a shaker cup, and I filled their cat bowl, and I put it down in my downstairs. And one day we wanted to do shots. I can't find it. I'm looking around, and weird noise. Like, what was that? And I turned the light on. Shaker cup. My dad kind of tapped on the wall and said, "Hey, look over here, dummy." And so, you know what? I believe it. I maybe can't see it, but I believe it.
Yeah, see, if my dad comes back to have some interaction with me, he's just going to play strange guitar noises.
Nee.
Yeah, literally.
I don't know. I'd have to say that my father has strange interactions with me all the time, but he's still alive.
If you come home, your dad's laying on the floor, rolling tennis balls back and forth. Racquetballs, my apologies.
Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Paranormal things happen all the time.
Yeah. And by the way, racquetballs are just tennis balls that have been updated and they've shaved. So, it's fine.
Streamline.
Perfectly fine. I don't know. It's a neat kind of a thing, and
Is it an on-demand thing? I mean, if you ask your dad for help, do you think he would be able to, or is it only when you're...
You know what? That's a good question. I've never tried.
Have you done the Ouija board?
I refuse to. My kid actually wanted us to buy one time. I said no, because I actually think that's kind of a real deal, too.
I think it's made by Hasbro.
Doesn't matter.
Pretend your microphone is a sign of fidelity.
Pretend my microphone is a sign of fidelity? Why?
Because it was over here.
Oh, sorry.
And this way, and when I get air,
How about
It went with the water bottle.
into the
how
mic.
about recording white noise?
So I've never tried it.
Yeah, have you seen that? Do you know of that?
I mean, I've watched Ghost Chasers and Ghostbusters and this, that, and the other thing, and I know they've got stuff within the white noise spectrum, but I've never done anything like that.
I remember doing that one time as a kid. And I can date myself with this. The Fisher-Price, my first tape player.
Oh, yeah.
And I was, little kid. I was recording news broadcasts that I was making up and, pretending to be a radio DJ and all of that stuff. And then one day I took a tape and I put it in and I said, I wonder what my room sounds like when I'm not in it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I came up with that thought. Probably because I was sitting in my room and I heard noises from the outside. So my mom called me for dinner. I hit the record button and closed the door. When I came back after dinner, the tape, I rewound it and I listened to it. And partway through, I heard a man's voice.
Oh.
Everybody was at the dinner table the whole time that was recording. So I don't know where that man's voice came from.
And what year was this?
Oh, God.
Because
This was probably in around 1980 or so.
Because there was nothing but white noise on tape back then.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this was a fresh tape, and I put it in, and I hit the record button to record whatever was going on. And I remember I showed it to my father, and he yelled at me and told me never to do that again. So
Wow.
he does not remember this incident, but it's pretty clear to me in my mind. And he did not look. He looked scared.
Yeah, I've done.
I was going to ask you, why do you think it's particularly the racquetballs? Were they owned by him at one point? No?
No, but they just happen to be a conduit,
Ah.
honestly. And when I say that, like, I had no idea the ball was even there, because, you think about a big round ball. So what's around there is plenty of space underneath it where it's not touching the floor. And no one had touched that ball for a week, a month, I don't know. And all of a sudden, this racquetball just rolls out, which I had no idea it was even there. And so it was later, it became more fun. But the first time, if I actually had hair on my legs and everything, it would have been sticking straight up. Because I'll tell you what, the back of my neck was nothing but goosebumps. It was
You did
crazy.
see the movie Poltergeist when the lady kept putting the kid on the floor and it
Yeah,
would slide.
yeah.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. So I didn't have a tape recorder per se to think about doing that, but what later on when home security started being a bigger thing, and I bought a small spy camera which had night vision in it. You'd be amazed what floats around your house at night when you're not there or when you're asleep.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
You get orbs?
yeah.
Yeah, all over the place.
And now here's the thing. I don't know if it's dust because not infrared. I guess it's an infrared camera. So it's actually projecting a light and then picking up the reflection off of that light. So I've seen dust do circles, freaky weird. And then one day something popped into the screen and I had to watch it 68 times before it finally occurred to me. It was an ant.
Crawling over the lens?
Yeah. Here's this antenna doing this in front of my camera, and I'm like, holy crap. And finally I figured out there's a bug. Okay. Maybe it's a haunted bug, but it's a bug, thank God. But yeah, I've seen the orbs or dust mites or motes or whatever they are. And
I actually have a picture of one from when I was in England. The town that we stayed in, that the sister-in-law of my nephew live in, Charles Dickens used to live there.
Oh.
And the first pub that we went to, she had no clue as to the history of this pub. When you're from a place, you never bother to read the plaque on the wall when you walk into the place.
Sure. I'm big for those plaques, by the way.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I didn't even realize the history from reading the plaque that Charles Dickens used to write in this pub.
Okay.
I found out because I ran into a gentleman who was at the pub the night before at a different pub who explained the history to me because he realized I was from America.
Sure.
And was telling me all about his hometown. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was amazing. So I went back to this pub. It was the British Lion. It's in the town of Folkestone
This is where?
in England.
Northern England?
It's
or
southern England.
Southern
It's
England?
it's one town a little bit lower than Dover.
Okay.
And
It's been a very long time since I was there, so I'm a little foggy on my geography. Like 1980, I was in England.
it's on the inside of it's on the inside of England on the English Channel,
Okay.
right across from France, of course.
Yep.
But so I went in, and this man explained to me that there was actually a small room in the back of the pub where that was the Dickens room. That's where he used to camp out and write.
Wow.
And now it's their small private party room in the back.
Okay.
But I was taking pictures of everything because I'm American, I'm a tourist. That's what you do. And
Well, sure.
and one of the things was
You
the
have a
Dickens
phone.
room. Yeah, oh, definitely. I know. How many times have you been saying, I don't have a camera, and then you realize you have a phone.
Yeah.
But so I was taking pictures of the Dickens room, and when I went back and looked at the pictures, there was an orb glowing in the middle of the room.
Wow.
And I'm trying to see in the other pictures, and it is picked up in the other pictures from different angles.
Wow.
And in the same place. And I'm saying dust doesn't do that when you move, So I don't know what this orb was, if something was reflecting from somewhere and it
Yeah.
just happened to be in the same place each time.
And I say the same thing. I don't know what the heck it was either, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's not like I was hallucinating because it's on magnetic tape or the hard drive or whatever you want to call it. And so for kicks, I put them all onto my computer and I go back once in a while and look at them and say, holy crap. You know, but the placards and the signs, I'm big for reading those. So you walk around New York City, they're everywhere. You just need to look other than straight ahead. So I'm walking, this one freaked me out. I'm in New York City, and again, just some random road. Maybe I'm on 54th Street or something not popular, not 57th or not, West Side High, whatever it is. And I see this sign on the door. And it was a Catholic, like Catholic church, an office for a Catholic church of some sort. It was the Office of Angelic Warfare. I'm like, is that a thing? And that could be possibly the biggest oxymoron on the planet. Angelic warfare. And then so another day I'm walking around and I see another sign on these nice brass placards on the building. And it said here, Bob Smith or whatever his name was, penned, "'Twas the night before Christmas." So that was written in New York City by a father who would read stories to his kids and eventually wanted to write something for them. So he penned "'Twas the night before Christmas" in New York City. And then I was at a trade show earlier in the year, this year in May, and going back and forth to the Javits from the Times Square area, wherever the hotel was I was staying. And again, just take a different route one morning, and sure enough, I find a sign, and I have a picture of it, and it would take too much time for me to find it, but if I can remember the details, it was the original train stop that Abraham Lincoln took from Philadelphia into New York City, and then where they then had him as his last stop before they took him to bury him when he was killed also. Something like that. I'm probably messing it up a little bit. But I thought, you know what? This is neat stuff, and all you have to do is look around.
You do. You just need to look for those little signs.
You know what? Be a freaking tourist. Look up.
Honestly,
there's neat architecture everywhere.
It's what I was doing a lot while I was in England.
Yeah.
Was actually they had little blue plaques around, and they were everywhere.
Yep.
She didn't even notice them because she walks by him every day.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's one of those. In the middle of the town, there was a cannonball that was from some war with the French that the French returned to the town after the war. And I took a picture of the plaque and was reading it, and she said, "What is that thing?" I said, "Do you realize what this is?" And I told her, and she said, "Well, I don't know. I walk by that all the time. That's what that is?"
Yeah.
But crazier is one of the last nights we were there, we went out to a couple pubs, and we went into this one pub, and there was one of those little blue plaques on the wall. I said, "Wow, this is a historic pub. It's really updated. It's got neon and everything everywhere,
wow,
you know." So I read what it said, and it was about, I forgot the guy's name, but it said he was a Frenchman, he was a chef, and he was a collector of Hawaiian shirts. Oh. And underneath it was Andy Warhol style pictures of him in different colors and going around. And I said to the bartender, this is pretty cool. Who is this guy? I said, "It's historic stuff." He says, "Yeah, it's pretty interesting. He's a Frenchman. He collects Hawaiian shirts and all." He told me what was on the plaque, and I said, "Oh yeah, all right. So what about him?" I said, "This guy famous?" He said, "Well, if you look towards the end of the bar, he's sitting there watching his iPad." Huh. And I looked, and sure enough, there was the man. So I had to drag him away from his football game, and convince him to let me take a picture of him and all. And I did that, and I told him how I was going to make him Facebook famous. And then he went back to his game laughing and all, and the bartender was laughing and gave me another drink and explained that he was the chef and it was a joke gift from Christmas.
Yeah, so...
But I still thought it was pretty cool that I got to meet the man.
On the subject of that, in the early to mid-1900s, it was very easy to get historic sign plaques, particularly in Rockland County.
Sure.
So a common one is the Washington tree in Stony Point, where the Washington, quote unquote, paid his soldiers. There's no evidence of that.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was one of those like tales that just got handed down over and over again, and they put it on a plaque.
Yeah. I mean, we do have the George Washington stuff in the area.
Oh, well, we have
Major Andre
right.
hanging
We
site.
had his body for a while too.
Washington?
Andre.
Andre, okay.
We had
yeah.
Andre was buried here in Japan until the mid 1800s when they moved him to England.
Back to England?
Yeah.
I found out recently, I moved to Haverstraw, and I found out that right over there is the Treason House.
Well, what was the Treason House?
What was the Treason House, where they actually met to exchange the plans from West Point.
Oh, okay.
And I did not know this at all, and I went looking for it, and I didn't realize the house was not there anymore.
Yeah, it's gone.
But I
there
did
till
find the
19
plaque on the road.
It was there until 1924.
Yeah. It's actually right behind Hoyer's.
Yes, correct.
Well, and you know
Which
what?
means it could serve as a modern day treason house for the guy who likes ice cream.
Jeez. When
that-
they're
that
not
might
on
be a cut.
When they're not on vacation.
Yeah, or falling off a bicycle or sniffing kids, which is why I sniffed the whiskey.
Jeez. Come on, Joe.
Come on, man, not a joke. 3 words, made in America.
Listen, it's as easy as riding a bike.
God's sakes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I like the plaques on the wall. I love it. And then now, if you're walking around, you also have to realize they put them in the sidewalks as well. So there's neat stuff. All you gotta do is open your eyes and look. And with everything at your fingertips, holy crap, you can find stuff to do. You know, I have, we were driving to the airport today. I took my girlfriend to the airport and she said, "Oh, I saw on the news, here's the richest people from rock and roll." And she said, "So who do you think it would be?"
Gene Simmons.
Well, he's up there. My guess, I said, well, if I was to just take a stab in the dark, my first guess would have been Paul McCartney. She goes, "Nope, he's not on the list."
Sir Paul did not make the list.
I'm calling bullshit on that. Well, it turns out, just like your fake plaques, they can make up a list of anything they want.
Pretty much can, yeah.
Yeah, and so, yeah. Okay, the top of the list was 800 million. No, McCartney's at like 1.3 or 1.2 billion. And he was international singer, and then the other one was this singer, and then that star. It was all nonsense. But
You ever see those toothpaste commercials where 9 out of 10 doctors agree? Did they ask only 10 doctors? I'm just wondering.
Four out of 5 dentists agree, and the 5th one doesn't because he likes the business. Yeah, shit. Well, I've been really enjoyed this today, by the way, Seth.
It's been
Michael,
fun.
Oh, yes, thank
You guys have anything you want to add to it? Any shout outs to friends, family, lodge members?
Just a big shout out to Athelstane, number 839 in Pearl River.
Yeah.
What's up, brothers?
And they've been there for how long? Any idea when the lodge started?
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that.
Go to your room.
Yeah,
What's
I'm going to
the-
hang my head in
What's
shame.
the lodge number?
839. But it was also, I know it was at one point Hudson River,
Which was
and then that split, and part of that became Athelstane. So
Okay.
I'm not sure when that happened.
And by the way, in your building, how many lodges do you have now that meet there?
I think there's 2 regular craft lodges, a Prince Hall Lodge, and Eastern Star.
Oh, okay.
And there might be something else there too.
Yep.
I'm not 100%.
We have an Eastern Star. We have Harmony Lodge comes in here as well. We are, of course, again, Stony Point, way yonder. And you folks out there watching and listening to this, if you want to find us, you can check us out on spw313.org. And we're on Facebook as well. Again, YouTube, the Freemasons Happy Hour. Click and like us and subscribe and share. And Facebook and what's the last one?
Instagram.
Instagram. Thank you very much.
I'd like to give a quick shout out to you,
Please.
Tom. Thank you for a great season so far. I know it's been great. And also a shout out to Mike over there for not only putting this production on, but keeping us well fed during this season. And
Yeah.
shout out to Jim over at Athelstane for
Yeah.
sending you over, Seth.
Yeah, so our co-guest, if you will, co-host, whatever you want to call it, Michael is our senior warden, and Mike on the mic is Mike is our junior warden, and I'm the worshipful master here at the lodge, and
Last episode's guest was the senior deacon.
the last episode guest with the senior deacon is correct.
And the first episode was our past worshipful master.
Yes. And what position do you hold in your lodge? I forgot to ask you that. Or do you?
Currently, I'm a trustee.
Currently, I was? That
I know,
doesn't work for me.
currently I am a trustee. I'm saying was because for some reason I've become the Tyler all of a sudden.
Okay.
Are you working on your
mostly-
Scott voice?
Oh, well, yeah, I am working on my Scott voice, and let me tell you, those are some big shoes to try to fill. That man has probably forgotten more about masonry than any of us will learn.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
big-
But unfortunately, he hasn't been able to attend the meeting, so I've been filling in as Tyler.
Okay.
But
Very good.
yeah, I've pretty much held just about every other position except secretary and treasurer.
You've been around the horn like me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm the master this year, and I'm not sure if I have aspirations to fill the secretary or the treasurer position. So right now we have two qualified gentlemen doing that, and I'd like to keep them there as long as possible.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
If I don't get exiled from masonry before our next season, I would plan on putting you probably in the East, unless we need a Tyler.
Yeah.
In which you might be sitting out there with your.
You don't want me out there napping during your meeting.
No, I'd prefer to put you in the East, but if we have to replace the Tyler, we
Yeah.
should replace it with someone who could actually defend the lodge.
Well, you definitely have a nice
it was a
enough sword
compliment.
back there,
I
I'll tell you.
appreciate that.
You ain't gonna have a sword. You're gonna bring your own
Yep.
friend from home.
I intend to get a sword someday. This way, when the zombies come, I'm going to have something. I don't have to rely on firearms.
No, those things
gonna be-
jam and run out of bullets.
Eventually,
You're gonna
Yeah.
be the chaplain, Tom.
I'll be the chaplain.
You're
All
the
right,
chaplain.
I'll be the chaplain.
While we're here, how do you
a cold
feel
steel
about
sword.
senior warden?
Feel good? Coming next year.
You feel good about it?
Okay.
No? All right.
Anything you'd like to add to the cast before you're done here today, buddy?
No,
Okay, excellent. Thanks. Shout out to our engineer, Mike, junior warden, doing a great job on both ends here. Mike, senior warden, and thank you, Seth, for joining us. You all have a good night out there, and we'll hope to see you again soon.
The battery.
Like and respond. Like and respond. Thank you. Like and share us. Take care.